Alright, hello chat, hello stream. Gonna be playing some poker. Looks like we're a little short-handed at this table. I was kind of debating if I actually wanted to stay at it or not. So we'll find out how it goes. Alright, so yeah, hopefully everybody's day is going well. I was actually considering maybe at 5 we can try to see if somebody is like pirate streaming the Helmuth Daniel Negreanu match, and we can just switch over to that when it comes to around 5 o'clock Pacific, which is going to be about an hour and 45 minutes. I'm going to set my countdown timer to an hour and a half, and we'll get started here. So we start with ace-6 offsuit. Might be able to check in the big blind. Nope. Button opens. In the big blind, ace-6 offsuit's a fold. I think we should probably be opening a little wider since we're so short-handed. We're going to have to defend a lot more big blinds here, so it's going to get a little tougher. But we'll see what happens. Maybe I was hoping for some more people to get onto this table. We could try leaving and finding another table. Guess we'll see how it goes here. And of course we get a pretty unplayable hand. So we're just kind of bleeding chips at the moment. May have to step up our game a little bit. 5 also doesn't seem like it's quite doable. Alright, well, 6-2 is normally not there. I still don't think I would feel great about playing 6-2. Probably a good move. We'll just see what happens. This is kind of a pretty big board. I imagine with the 2 aces, people might be afraid to bet. Pretty unlikely that somebody has an ace here. It's possible he has a 4. Possible he even has 2 4s. Or he just has some pocket pair, like a middle pocket pair would be bettable here. Otherwise, maybe he's just betting because he thinks he should be betting. Yeah, looks like everybody folds to him. Interesting. So we will just try to... Thanks for the stream. Thanks for the comments, man. I feel bad that we're just getting crap cards. Doesn't make for a very exciting stream for sure, but that's alright. The idea with my bankroll challenge is to once we get 10 buy-ins from where we started, I'll probably start multi-tabling. 8-5 here is also just really, really bad. Even if it were like, this doesn't seem callable. Like 8-5's not even in my like 65% range. It's in an 80% range, but not. Okay, so we are, so cutoff opens, we're in the small blind with Jack-8 offsuit. Is Jack-8 offsuit good enough to limp here? It doesn't seem like it. I don't think so, but pretty sure. I mean, I think we gotta, these low stakes, we just gotta kind of play boring poker, even though it doesn't make for a great stream, and just look for an opening and try to make some money off of it when we find an opening. We'll have some great hands soon enough, thanks. Yeah, hopefully. we would have been pretty drawing dead here. And it looks like there's a re-raise from the button, so these guys, somebody has something. I imagine, I mean, ace-5 is certainly possible for the straight. Any 5 makes a straight, so either that or he's bluffing with like a pair of queens. I kind of want player 4 to call here so we can see if player 5 is capable of a bluff, but instead I guess we'll just find out later. Okay, turned up my volume a bit. Alright, so 9 queen. Probably not enough to 3-bet with, but we can try limping. I think this is within a decent limping range here. Yeah. So we are trying to have like a balanced limping range, so like 8s, queen 9 is actually specifically in it. And I think with the flush draw, we're going to raise this and make it a little more expensive for people to continue. Pot's already a little big. We're gonna go for it. See what they do. And we get an all-in. I don't really feel like gambling on a flush draw here. I suspect he has something decent, and we are just on a flush draw, which is like 35%. So we don't really have the pot odds here if we're just looking at that. Man. I'm gonna take a look at that and see if I was actually right about the pot odds or not. I'm not entirely sure if I was right about not, I guess, having pot odds or not. Let's see. So we got to... Okay, so he is... So the risk is about 425. Yeah, that was a bummer. I mean, and then risk plus reward. So the pot is, let's see here. He's basically just betting. So the over risk plus reward, so like 579. So our pot odds are pretty ridiculous, like 70-ish%. That doesn't sound right. Yeah. Yeah, we will definitely try again, man. For sure. Actually, I realized we have a much better way to check the pot odds here, which is Poker Tracker. So, yeah, we were facing 28% pot odds. And really, we just needed... So we actually could have called there. The problem is we had basically 35% odds to get the flush. So, yeah, we could have called. Feels a little bad there, but... Oh, wait. Sorry, I was reading that wrong. So we were getting 45% pot odds. Let me see if I can bring up the Poker Tracker window here. Yeah, I mean, it looks ugly, but you can kind of see here 45% pot odds to me. And we need like a flush draw, turn or river is 35%. So we're actually not getting good enough pot odds to call there. So it was a good fold, even though it doesn't feel great. Okay, so let's keep playing. Yeah, interesting. 45% pot odds to a 35% chance to win. I didn't actually... Yeah, okay. Try again. So are you gonna... I won't try to pronounce your name there, but POI, are you planning on watching the Negreanu Hellmuth match tonight? Apparently, I don't subscribe to PokerGo just because it feels like a little bit of a waste of money, but I hear that other people will stream it on Twitch, so I might just catch it there once it starts in probably about an hour and a half. I think it starts. Twitter was basically saying that they're not super interested because it's kind of boring just watching two guys play poker, which, okay, fair point. It probably is a little boring, but it might be interesting to watch. Try to pick up some strategy. I feel like, I mean, with video games, right? Like, people improve at video games by watching the pros play. I don't see why it wouldn't apply to poker as well. Alright, so we are, we'll open this. I don't actually think it's quite within our range here, but we're gonna do it anyways. Yeah, it's a little short of the hijack opening range, but we might get something out of it. We'll just shut down on the flop if nothing happens, but we do get a bunch of, if we get a bunch of limps, then I think it kind of makes it worth it. Yeah, which we do. Slow and gambling is not great either. Slow and steady wins the race. 100% agreed. I feel like the guys on here, they want to gamble, and I just don't feel great about like coin flipping, and that would have been a coin flip out of our favor anyways, so yeah. I think we move on and try not to dwell on it too much and just hope for some better hands. There one, yeah. So interesting. We get a pair of sevens here, but with the ace and the 10, there are two overcards. We don't get any cards. We don't get any hearts. We are essentially just kind of drawing to a second 7 here, and I don't think we're, you know, odds are pretty slim on that, so I think we just kind of shut down at this point. And now there's a flush draw on the board. Any 2 diamonds will make it. And with 4 people in the pot, it's usually pretty dangerous. Your equity is going to be really low. So it's usually, oh wow, we get the third 7. Okay. So I think what we do here is maybe we let this guy donk bet, or I don't know if it's donk betting, but I suspect he's going to lead out. We will essentially bet the flush. We don't have it. But we get 1 call. And we show the 3 sevens and we take it. Nice. Thank you, good sir. That was interesting. Yeah, so Poi says, I'm not into poker at all. Is there a 1v1? That seems cool. Yeah, so basically, you know, poker comes in lots of forms and formats. Basically, all you need is 2 people. You can go anywhere from like 2 to 9 people in a hold'em game, and there are 2 kind of hold'em poker legends that are having a public feud at the moment. It is Daniel Negreanu and Phil Hellmuth, and they're kind of from the olden days of when poker was really popular on TV back in the early 2000s. And so they're old guys now, but of course, being old guys, they're stirring up drama on Twitter. And so they have challenged, one challenged the other to a duel. And so it's just basically like a one-on-one match. It's kind of like a tournament format where the blinds will increase every X minutes or whatever, and until one of them is knocked out. And so last time it lost it a while, like 3 or 4 hours. And so that's the only problem with it, is that it's kind of boring to watch poker for 4 hours straight, but especially with just a 1v1. but because they're pretty like well known, it's a lot of people watch it and talk about it and kind of dissect the hands. So even if you don't watch it tonight, you'll probably like it's all over, going to be all over poker Twitter and poker news tomorrow. And usually what happens is you can watch YouTube for like the highlights that are usually like out of 3 or 4 hours of playing. There'll be like 1 or 2 hands that are exciting, and people will dissect and analyze those hands to death, and it's generally, so that's what I did last time. I just watched all the analysis afterwards, and it was still pretty interesting. I feel like I learned a fair amount just from watching the kind of 2 or 3 hands that people were really talking about. There was one in particular. Yeah, 1-on-1 brings many bad hands, right? Yeah, so basically, like, when you're that low in people, you have to compensate by opening a lot wider range, and so you're opening weird ranges for sure. And so we will open. Oh, we get it. Okay. I think this is actually a decent limp here in the button. Let's see here. Queen Jack offsuit. Yeah, it's okay. And we get paid off here. There is a straight draw and a flush draw on the board, so we need to be pretty careful here. I think we can re-raise him here actually and see what he does. We might get a fold. Let's see what happens. 2 pair might not be good enough. He might have us beat with ISIS. He could just have King X. As long as he doesn't have King Queen or King Jack, we have him beat. He could also have like a pair of kings, or so the 6 doesn't do him anything. He does call. I don't. So the question is, do we value bet here? And the underlying question about whether we value bet is, does he continue? Let's find out. Yeah, here we go. This is going to be an interesting hand here. Hopefully he's not stream sniping us. We only have a 45-second delay. Might not be enough to avoid the stream snipes, but oh, we take it. Take it down. Nice. Oh, and we would have had well, actually that king would have counterfeited our 2 pair, but we pull it through. So that was nice. Yeah, I think that that turn bet kind of acted as like denying his equity, because he probably had like a pair, top pair. He probably had King X something, so he probably had top pair, but we bet to essentially kind of deny his equity there, and it worked. Yeah, so anyways, one-on-one hands, you have to, so especially this one-on-one tournament format, because the blinds increase, you are also trying to take into account the stack sizes relative to the big blinds. So like when your stack is, like 100 big blinds, you can play really tightly. But when the blinds are so big that your stack dwindles relative to the big blind size, you maybe only have like 5 or 10 or 15 big blind stack, then you have to play a lot more aggressively. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I've been trying to study poker, trying to kind of pick up everything, and it feels like it's just now starting to pay off. But I think that for sure there is a certain kind of set of strategies that you need for these lower stakes tables, and I'm not sure how much they're going to carry over to high stakes. So it's just going to be like a learning experience, and try, like I feel like I'm starting to kind of nail down how to deal with these guys and their wide ranges. But I'm sure that like I have to be aware as soon as I change stakes, my strategy's got to change too. But the plan is to change stakes once I get to 60 buy-ins at the lower stake. Then I will move up to a higher stake. And so right now we're at about 26 buy-ins at this lower stake. So we still got a while to go. But yeah, I feel like I'm making decent progress. I'm gonna turn down the Spotify audio. Looks like it's a little hot there. Okay. Now this one we definitely probably would have continued. You also have to be more lucky, I assume. Yep. And that's where a lot of the skill comes in, is like pressing your luck, I guess, is, you know, also I don't like tournaments as much because there is a lot more luck involved. But there is still a fair amount of skill in knowing when to continue. And yeah, we're gonna actually Jack 9, I think we'll call here. And having less space for waiting out blinds. Yep, exactly. So here is not, so we are small blind, he is cut off. I think this flop hits him better than us in terms of ranges. I don't think we need to bet out, especially since he was the pre-flop aggressor. I think we just shut down here. He may not actually have anything, but I mean, if he checks, then maybe we bet the turn. Yeah, if he checks, then it's probably a sign of weakness. He's also very tight, so it shows that we've seen him play for 15 hands, and he's only played 2 out of those 15 hands. So there's a decent possibility that he folds to a bluff here, especially if he doesn't have any hearts. So now this is actually not quite a bluff because we do have some equity now, but if he has 2 hearts, we're hosed. So let's see what happens. That re-raise to me, I think I'm going to fold. How legit is bluffing as a strategy in professional poker? Very legit. Oh, we would have had 2 pair there, but I think he still had a heart. I think he would have gotten his, I think he's re-raised with maybe 1 heart to get me out. That's my suspicion. Yeah, it's very legit. In fact, you know, I'm going through some kind of poker lessons right now, and it talks explicitly about bluffing. Basically, the goal of bluffing is to get your opponent to fold. And so you need to kind of be aware of your opponent's tendencies and how often they're folding. So if your opponent is never folding, then you should never bluff, because it won't work. Because, right, the point of bluffing is to get your opponent to fold before the showdown. And there's even like some math that you can do that tells you exactly how often your opponent should be folding in a specific situation based on the bet size. So it's called like a break-even percentage. I don't know the formula off the top of my head, but that's the kind of general idea, is that you're basically kind of gambling that your opponent will fold a certain percentage of the time. And it's definitely something that any like poker professional needs to have some decent skill in, for sure. I think, you know, where a lot of the rubber meets the road is like how, and I think what's like separates good poker players from bad ones is dealing with marginal hands. When you have something, you know, when you have like middle pair, or a pair when there's like a flush board or things like that, like when the flop doesn't match your hand. Okay, so I think in low jack, king 9 suited, we can open. We will do that. Let's see what happens. We get one call. Are we gonna get a second call from this guy? No, we don't. Oh wow, and we get 3 9s off right off the bat. In a 3-way pot, and I'm in the middle. I guess I was the original pre-flop aggressor, so I will just kind of do a c-bet. I'm just gonna go smaller, see like a 50% pot, and see what they do. There is 2 clubs on the board, so we have to be aware of a potential flush, and we get re-raised. I think we... I'm gonna like overbet it and see what he does. I guess this is actually kind of risky. I feel like we have close to the nuts here. He could have 9-3 for the house. Okay, and we take it. Nice. Got him to fold. That was good. We could have continued there, but I think that the overbet serves some purposes. It in a lot of cases, some guys are going to be pretty wild in that spot and just want to go all in. In which case, like, that would have been a pretty good trap. I could say that we got greedy there with the 150% raise, but I think that he just, I think he was honestly just trying to get us out of the hand. It's easier to play a great hand. The awkward ones are the ones to master. Also, there are way more awkward hands than great hands. Yep, you said it, man. That's very well said. Yeah. So yeah, it's easy to play 3 9s. But yeah, so that's kind of what I'm working on. And I think that, yeah, when, like, back to the original discussion, I guess, like, when it's a one-on-one and you're trying to play every other hand or so, you're going to get a lot of marginal hands. And so your skill at marginal hands better be pretty good if you're going to go onto like a one-on-one format like that. All right, so we are doing pretty good. We get opened here. Now this guy, I think, so we're in the button. Our overlimp range does not, so queen 10 would be a 3-bet. So we're gonna 3-bet and see what happens. I'm actually not super happy about this. I mean, I'm just trying to stick to the ranges. I feel this is definitely uncomfortable for me. Oh, okay, and we take it. Nice. Especially because I was a bit uncomfortable because player 5 here, looking at his stats, he's pretty conservative. He has a 20% VPIP so far, so that means he's only, and if he's in his 3-bet percentage is 15%. Okay, so under cutoff, I think we do open this. And they're probably kind of mad. I've been getting a bunch of hands, so yeah, somebody calls me and we do get top pair. There are 2 spades on the board. We'll just c-bet it at 2/3 pot. See what he does. So now there's 2 clubs, 2 spades. So if he does have a suited hand, he's looking pretty good. He does check, so I'm sure the 3 doesn't hit either of us. I'm gonna try to just put pressure on him. 9 big blinds. Okay. So if he has 2 spades, we are hosed here. But, and that's definitely possible considering he's called 2 2/3 pot bets. So I'm just gonna check through and see what he has. And he takes it with ace jack. Oh, so interesting. So we both had pair of aces, but he had the higher kicker. Almost wondering if I should have bet there at the end to try and scare him off the pot. Our stats on him don't really say how much he, like, we don't have enough stats on him to know, like, if he's a calling station or not. That's all right. That was interesting because he did just, yeah, he just had a better kicker. That's all it came down to. I think the other thing is, like, yeah, so we talked about, like, you know, where if bluffs have a place in professional poker, and that was one where, you know, if I had tried to bluff, it probably wouldn't have worked because at low stakes, like, it's probably going to be pretty rare for somebody to fold their ace high. Now, granted, the 3 spades were on the board, and I definitely could have at least tried a bluff, but yeah, that's one where I might review that and see, like, we can see if a bluff would have worked there or not. Maybe got carried away a little. Yeah, I think I probably should have checked at the turn. I think c-betting the flop was reasonable, but betting the flop probably was unnecessary. Especially since I probably should have just considered, like, okay, if he's calling a bet on the flop, like, what is the strength of his hand? And based on that, you know, will he fold to another bet? And I should have realized that if he's calling the flop, he probably has a good enough strength hand to continue on the turn when the turn is a blank. So, oh well. One bad bet isn't bad, and I checked through on the river, and I feel, I don't know. Bet, check, bet is also not a very strong strategy, so, yeah. I marked that in my tracker as review / bad hand because I don't feel great about that one. But at least we didn't lose a whole lot. That's good. We're still up for the session, and we're not doing too horrible. Yeah, so we'll try for another good hand here pretty soon here. I don't think 8-10 offsuit. Actually, according to our range, we can open from the button. This is definitely a marginal hand. I don't fully expect them to continue. Now, I maybe should have considered that this guy, player 2, has been playing about every other hand. Oh wow, we get re-raised, so I think we'll fold that. Definitely can't continue against a re-raise there. King 10 offsuit is playable as well, so let's see what happens. And we get a fold. So I think this guy, number 1, actually had something decent. So I think we were correct to get out of the way. That re-raise there. Now this guy is pretty conservative, so we gotta kind of watch him. We will c-bet it here and see what he does. So if he calls, what's his range? It's a rainbow board. There's no pairs on the board. So he could have, now he is in big blind, so he could have a fair amount of, like, lower numbers. Are you playing a tournament at the moment? I'm so ignorant. No, this isn't a tournament. This is just a cash table. So the big blinds always stay the same. That's kind of one decent way you can tell. I'm gonna check it. Now, it's definitely possible he has a 4 here. I think if he bets, he probably has a 4. Well, or he's bluffing. So in the big blind, he is going to have a much wider range. He does open pretty strong, so I wouldn't put it past him that he has a 4, but I think for the price, we're getting 30% pot odds. Alright, we're going to call and see what he has. Oh, we split it. Okay, so we both have the king. Nice. Alright, so we're going to play the Jack 10. That's actually a little, well, yeah, okay, that's in our range. And we just take it. Yeah, the reason it's confusing about whether this is a cash table is because I have a separate program that's redrawing the amounts. So it's showing as big blinds rather than dollars, but we are just playing a cash game. So like here, this is dollars. So it's like actual money. It's just that for my, like, it's easier to do. It's less pressure to my brain when I see everything in terms of big lines. Like, I'm thinking less about money and more about the math and the math of the situation. I actually, like, yeah, I mean, I have anxiety in like real life, and it's just kind of something I have to deal with a lot. And so any little shortcut or like way I can deal with it, I try to do it. And so just seeing BB instead of $ feels like to me like a good way to deal with it. Just kind of keep my heart rate a little lower while I'm playing. He had King Jack, yeah, but there was no Jack on the board. So we both had a pair of kings, and then there was enough higher cards on the table. It's only the best of 5 cards. So, and he re-raises here. I think we fold. Jack nine. Yeah. Let me actually. So we were on the button. So Jack 9 actually should have been in our calling range. That was actually a mistake. We should have called there to the re-raise. I just didn't I didn't realize that. I need to slow down and look at my ranges a little bit more when it comes to re-raises. Alright. So 10-4-5 certainly favors the kind of small blind and big blind here. Doesn't really hit the button a whole lot. I guess the button has probably a fair amount of 10s, but instead the small blind just donk bets, so they're gonna give it to him. All right, Jack 9 offsuit in the hijack is not playable. Yeah, it's just like easier to do the like try and calculate pot odds and everything when it's big blinds instead of dollars. All the numbers are a little more even. They're all in terms of 100, fractions of 100 here. Because the max buy-in here is 100 big blinds. So interestingly, almost everybody at the table has more than 100 big blinds. So we've all kind of just been sitting at the tables like taking money from the other guys who are the fish. And now it seems like maybe we're a bunch of aggressive, smart players left. That's something else to keep in mind is like even at the micro stakes, there's going to be good players. It's not everybody's an idiot. Yeah, it's 100 big blinds the default start. Yes, well, kinda. It's the maximum start. But it is most people would recommend to buy in with the max for whatever table you're going to sit down at, because when everybody else has a higher stack than you are at a significant disadvantage. So it's kind of just default to buy in with the max at pretty much every online table. And so, and the max for most online tables are 100 big blinds. And so then it's just the big blind amount determines the dollar amount. So in this case, like, the big blind is 5 cents. So 100 times 5 cents is $5. So the buy-in is $5. That's how, like, and then if you go to a casino, they'll just tell it, it's not always 100 big blinds. At casinos, it can vary wildly, but most people will just sit down with the max buy-in because they don't want to be at a disadvantage as a small, like, having a much smaller stack than everybody else. All right, so we try to steal the big blinds here. Let's see, and we take it. Nice. All right, so in the button we get 8 ace offsuit, which is we can open, but to a bet from under the gun, we will fold. Yeah, so 100 big blinds is kind of the standard for online tables. Definitely not the standard for casinos. I mean, if you go to a casino, you're gonna see a lot of different things than you would see online, because casinos are always trying to come up with gimmicks to get people to gamble more, because that's in their best interest. And so there's a lot of, like, interesting variations on Texas Hold'em now in casinos. One of them is called a straddle, where, yeah, and what does the RNG ticker mean? The one that says 93 at the moment. Good question. So basically it's RNG stands for random number generator, and the idea is that some people, like, game theory optimal play, which just which has its own significance, but basically it's like a line of poker theory that people have out there on how to play poker. And the theory says that you should be mixing your actions in certain spots. And by mixing, it means, like, for the exact same game position, you should be alternating actions in order to keep your opponent guessing. And so, like, if I got, like 7-3, maybe I fold 50% of the time and call 50% of the time, and or maybe raise 5% of the time, call 45, fold 50%, right? And so the way then that you try to, like, as a player, the way to, like, determine what you should do at the moment is to, like, roll the dice. But instead of rolling the dice, you, like, click the button and it changes. So I just click the button and it changes to a certain number. So what I should be doing in certain spots is saying, like, okay, well, if the RNG is above 75, I should raise. Otherwise, I'm going to call. And then I click the button and it says 34. Okay, then I'm going to call. That's how most people use it. And that's kind of how the theory and the books out there tell you how to use it. I'm just so nervous that I gotta forget to use it. All right, so low jack, 8 queen. This is one where we can roll the RNG here. So let's say if it's, like, above a 75, we'll raise. Okay, so it's 73, so we'll fold. That's kind of how it should go. And so it should really be, like, 4 edge spots, which actually 8 queen suited is kind of on the edge. Like, my range says not to play it, but the next card up is playable. Like, queen 9 suited would have been, the range says to play it. So what you should be doing is kind of actually, like, have a gradual step down to say, and so you should, instead of saying, like, queen 9 suited is always playable and queen 8 suited is never playable, you should be mixing and saying, like, okay, I'm going to play queen 9 75% of the time and play queen 8 25% of the time, or something like that. and do it that way. But it's a lot harder for people to do that at live tables because they don't have, the range sheets in front of them. So most people just memorize a straight range. Actual gambling, yeah. Definitely. All right. So queen 4 is not good enough to call a raise here. And the guy shows. That was kind of weird. Okay. Maybe he misclicked there. Fortunately, Jack 4 offsuit is not going to be playable, so we'll fold it. Yeah, actual gambling. Kind of. Yeah, I mean, it's the idea is that, so I don't know if you've heard of like game theory optimal, whatever, GTO poker, which stands for game theory optimal poker. And it's basically like some guys created like a data structure on the computer that like models all of the plays and actions in a poker game. And then what they do is they have like two computer players play each other. Now, but with the assumption that both players know each other's strategy. And what happens when you do that is like they play against each other millions and millions of times, and they both come to what's called an equilibrium. Yeah. And so like in like the equilibrium that people have come up with based on their programming, the computer players mix their actions in certain spots. And the computer players will like check some percentage of the time, call some percentage of the time, raise some percentage of the time. And the main reason to do that is to basically make your opponent indifferent to your actions. And meaning that your opponent should basically do the like, oh, okay, yeah, you study mathematics. Awesome. Man. Got another re-raise here with ace 4 on the button. We fold it according to our ranges. Yeah, so Nash equilibrium. Basically, like people have kind of come up with Nash equilibriums for poker, and it says to have like a mixed strategy in a lot of spots is what the computers kind of come up with. Now a7 in the cutoff. We are in the cutoff. We would be in position. An ace7 suited says to fold. Okay. Oh, actually, shoot, I misread my range there. I think I should have. Oh no, I should have folded there too, so that's good. We made the right decision. So that's the reason like the mixed strategies work, is that the goal is to make your opponent indifferent to your actions, and they should just be like doing the same thing regardless of what you do. That's the idea. But in practice, it is very hard to actually play and try it. So like basically what people do is they have solver. They like this solving stuff, like people who have done this have now like released software, and you can download and pay for the software on your own computer and run the simulations on your own computer. And people do that and they study. They study a lot, and that'll basically like I did get a solver and I have been studying with the solver, but I'm going through some other material, and then I'll probably go back to studying the solver after I finish the current material that I'm on right now. Because it is good to, and like I follow some other some really, so there's another streamer that I follow that's like really good, been playing for 10 plus years. His name is Bloons, Bloonz. Interesting. Intuitively it does make sense, but you wouldn't think a computer would come to that conclusion. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely it's interesting. Okay, so Small blind. When the hijack opens with 8 ace, we fold. It's kind of annoying. I feel like we're kind of bleeding chips here, but I think it's just because we haven't really gotten a lot of good cards yet. And someone with a short stack like this is probably going to want to go all in at the drop of a hat. So definitely not a hand we could probably do that with. Jack 5 off is also just not good enough. Yeah, unfortunately, I need to upgrade my computer in order to actually like step through the solver on stream because the solver requires lots and lots of memory, like 20, like anywhere between 10 and 50 gigs of memory to run a solve for a certain hand. So even though I have 32 gigs of RAM, it is not enough to run the stream and run the solver at the same time. So I think that's going to be one of my next upgrades, to try and get like upgrade to 128 gigs RAM so that I can do that on stream, which would be pretty fun. We're just going to bet our top pair here and not make it any more complicated than that. Hope that he folds. Now we're not super happy. What does he have that he called 4-2 jack? Checked queen? I'm gonna check. Get a king. So not a great flop or turn. Both of those cards have us beat. I suspect he's going to bet here. No, he's not. I think we just check here. I think we get to cheap showdown. Ace. Okay. I'm curious what our equity was there. So we had Jack 9 of diamonds, and the flop was 4-2 Jack of spades. And he has like a reasonable, so we had 76% equity, but then when the queen of diamonds and the king of clubs comes, we go down to about 50% equity. So I think, well, and then let's see here. So if he has, so I think we could have profitably bet on that last hand on the turn or river, but I wasn't sure how good we were. Poker even gets the computer's gambling, lol. Yeah. Yeah, either very bad solver or very complex problem. Yeah, and the short answer is it's just a complex problem. What they do is they just represent each action as a node in a tree. And so the problem is that even each bet amount is a node in the tree. So like betting half pot, betting full pot, and going all in, those are 3 different nodes on the tree. And so then when you include like calling and folding, it's going to be like 5 nodes for like each action. And then when you can have like re-raises, so it can go like bet, re-raise, you know, call, and each of those actions has like splits off 5 ways. It expands in your memory real quick. All right, we're gonna call here, and we get the kind of I suspect that this flop is not great for either of us, but I also suspect he's going, yeah, so he checks there. I have big blind, so I hit this flop a lot more than he does, so I'm actually gonna bet and see if we can just bluff him. Basically, we can have a semi-bluff. We have some equity with 2 spades, but now that there's an ace out there, there is a straight draw, like or 4-5 gets straight. We have a lot less equity, so I think we just shut down here. And the 6 doesn't help us either. So, fortunately, we just have king high here, and let's see who gets it. Yeah, he has a pair of 7s. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty exponential. Yeah, exactly. So that's why it gets so big so quick. You can now. What's interesting is like you can simplify the tree, but then you're not really very accurately representing the game. So that's another part of the problem. So 7, 8, 9, queen, king. So we do have 2 overs. God. All right, I'm gonna bet. This is actually a donk bet from me, but given the board, it's not that unreasonable. Okay. The reason is that like a board of like mostly numbers and mostly low to medium numbers favors the big blind much more than the button. So like he just based on basically I bet my range there. I didn't actually bet my hand. You know, I had some nut advantage with the king queen, but but I had range advantage just based on my positions in the betting, and so that's what I bet there. And it worked. He folded. Now we are shorthanded. It's down to 3 people, maybe 4 if this guy starts playing again. So I might consider leaving the table if to try and go find a fuller table if this continues. Yeah, now it's just down to the 2 of us, and I don't really want to play heads up. I'm just going to leave, and we'll try finding another table here. Let's see if we can find a table. Okay, there we go. Found an actual table. Pretty late here, 1 a.m., so I'm going to bed. Cheers, have a good one. Yeah, thank you, man. You too. I really appreciate you watching the stream and asking questions, engaging. Makes for a much more interesting stream, so appreciate it. All right, so we are waiting to play here, and we do get back in. We were planning on kind of... I set the timer for 1.5 hours, so it looks like we have about a half an hour left, so we'll keep playing. We did end that last session up by about 7 big blinds, which isn't a lot, but it is something. I'll take it. Any win rate of like 10 big blinds or more per 100 hands is good. And so if we had 7 big blinds over 60 hands, that's it's above that ratio of 10 per 100, so I'll take it. All right. And we are facing a 3-bet. We definitely do not cold call a 3-bet here with Queen 8. We'll let it go. Don't think there's any world where anybody calls a 3-bet. All right. Now 10-7 in the small blind, on the other hand, is playable. We're gonna open it up. And we missed the flop, which is a bummer. We do have more kings than he does in this spot. I'm gonna try betting our position and just in our range and see what he does. Maybe he folds here if he doesn't have a king. Nope. Bummer. Now we're in kind of a tight spot. We don't have any flush draw or straight draws. 7, 8, 9, 10. Still doesn't get us anything. Bummer. I think we fold this bet here. 17% pot odds is really small, but the problem is we just don't have very much equity. All right. So 3-4 offsuit, we'll let go. All right. Drink some water. I'm gonna mute myself for a second while so that I don't rudely drink water in front of the mic. All right, got some Sour Patch Kids. Got some water. Good. We are just waiting for a hand to play. Our stats on our left reset because we changed tables. We ended about 7 big blinds up on the last one, and now we are 7 big blinds down on this table, which means we are now about even. We are, yeah, I think we'll just kind of wait to see here what happens, try to collect data on these guys. We don't really know much about anybody except that one guy has 200 big blinds. So usually when you see somebody with a much bigger stack than that, you want to give them a little bit of respect. Assume that they know what they're doing. Aren't going to be making too absurd of bluffs. Although, could just be a gambler. We don't know quite yet. We'll see. The 2 big blinds into a pot size of 8 big blinds is a little weird. That's a 4th pot size bet. Pretty undersized, so I would and the other guy folds to it. Interesting. Maybe player 6 thought that player 4 was value betting there? Not clear. Alright, so let's check out what's going to happen here. So even with big blind, even if the under the gun opens, we are going to call with ace-2 suited. So we're going to definitely call if small blind opens, but instead we just take it. And unfortunately, King 3 is not as good as Ace-2 suited, so we will probably let it go for the most part. All right. And unfortunately, we can't really respond to that. We would have had middle pair. Let's punch this in to see what. Punch this into Flopzilla here. So right now, like any normal range is going to have a lot of pairs here. So this is pretty spicy board here. There's also 2 hearts. Okay. The first better takes it. And again, we don't get a playable hand, so we'll let that go and just try to comment on what's going on. And the small blind opens, trying to steal big blinds. And does he get away with it? Maybe? We don't have any stats on player 3. All right, player 3, so... Player 3 is taking his sweet, sweet time. What does he have? Or is he just AFK? Probably AFK. Alright, so King Jack suited. Definitely going to open it. And we just take it. Okay. Not make for an exciting stream, but it is profitable. We'll fold 8-2. And wait for the next hand. Thanks for watching the stream. We're just playing 2 cent, 5 cent on Ignition. Trying to get our bankroll, trying to win our bankroll challenge. First step is to try and get up to 60 big blinds and 2 cent 5, or sorry, 60 buy-ins at 2 cent, 5 cent. So yeah, and we're right now at about 6 buy-ins. Or, sorry, 26 buy-ins. The goal of this stream is to just try and learn poker together. I will try to kind of explain and my thought process on some of these hands and why I'm doing what I'm doing. And offline, I'm studying poker and then trying to share that with you guys as I learn it. So that's the plan. All right. So another openable hand here. See if we get folds all around again. So I think we even potentially either 4-bet. Let's see here. So King Queen suited is a call. We're gonna call here. We are out of position, but we do get top pair. He 3-bet, so we'll give it to him. And I think we just plan on calling here. That's a pretty big size bet. And we do get a 3rd queen. We will check to him again since he's the pre-flop aggressor. If he... yeah, I don't know. Question is, do we go all in here and just re-raise him now? Could be that he has Queen Jack. Could be that he has 2 aces. If he has 2 aces or 2 kings, we got him beat. Let's see what happens here. We're gonna go all in. And yeah, we take it. Nice. Doo-doo-doo. Sorry, Poi, you missed the most exciting hand of the stream, man. Sorry, yeah. That was exciting. We did it. We took his money. He just wanted to throw it at us, and we said okay. We will take your money, good sir. So this is where, you know, I get a little bit of danger of like winner's tilt, where my brain kind of fogs over from the adrenaline of going all in, and I don't make as good choices. So just got to be aware of that and try to just slow down, take a deep breath, and try to get the rational, just wait until the rational part of my brain kicks back into action, and then we'll continue playing poker. So, you know, while we're trying to wait for my brain to go back to normal, it's okay if we fold a hand that we're not super comfortable with. I think in this spot, let's just look at our range. Small blind does open Jack 10 offsuit, so we will open it and not go too crazy. We have this guy covered by a lot. We get middle pair. We are... the fact that he calls makes me think he does have something decent. We're just going to c-bet pretty small here and see what happens. I think if he has an ace, he continues. If he doesn't, he doesn't. You don't like to see that. The 4 doesn't change anything, though. So now the question is, do we keep betting? Well, the 4 means that we don't have a flush draw. We definitely don't have any straight draws. So we'll just check, see if he wants to see what he's doing. When he calls... Interesting. I didn't expect him to check through here. On a check, I don't think he has an ace, so I'm going to bet again. Now, he could be trapping us. But I think we have some equity if he doesn't... Ugh. Man. So with the re-raise, I tend to believe people... We don't know anything about the villain. He called 2 bets. I think that he has it here. Now he's giving us 25% pot odds. I'm just gonna fold. And he does take some of our profit back from us, so we will... I'm gonna put that in the review though. And hopefully we can kind of learn something from that hand by looking at it later. From the button, Queen Jack suited is another open, so we'll do that. They might think that we're tilted here. Okay, we had a hand. King 9 offsuit. Oh, sorry, King 9 suited is another playable hand from cutoff, so we'll open it up again. I realize I'm looking like a maniac right now to everybody else at the table. So I think that they are kind of overfolding to me right now, but in reality, I've just been getting decent cards. And ace-6 from the hijack is not playable, so we will actually finally fold a hand. We're at 40% hands played right now on this new table, so it is reasonable for other players to step back and assume that I'm being a maniac. So let's take a look here. Try to slow down our brain and get back into normal mode. Try not to lose our 72 big blinds that we just won. All right. So, two-tone board, green high, small blind versus big blind, which is kind of an interesting position. Small blind has the range advantage here, especially with small blind's gonna have a lot more queens than big blind here, and so small blind takes it. All right, queen 3 from low jack is not quite good enough. I should put our graph. I was thinking about that, like, should this graph be in big blinds instead of dollars since the table's in big blinds? I don't know. I actually don't know if I would have that data in the Python context. I'll have to check. I think the data's in there. I think it's in the name of the table, because the name of the table is like 5NL or whatever. It'll have the stakes in the name of the table, so I would have to parse out the name of the table and then divide the dollars by the big blinds. I think that would work. All right. So 5-6 suited. Offsuit, sorry. Means that we will probably let this go. Yeah, even in the most crazy spots, we let it go. Also, we have to remember, like, now we have a certain reputation at the table. Since we do have a bigger stack, people are going to believe us more. So that could mean that we bluff more, although that didn't work against this guy. But yeah. Uh, 2-3 is not good enough. Okay, so King Queen offsuit from the button definitely can open it. If we get 3-bet here by the cutoff, we would have 3-bet it. Instead, we'll 2-bet it, and we take it. And 6-10, not good enough. So once the timer goes off, we can take a look at some of the hands in the solver, or sorry, in Flopzilla. And then we can try hosting, we can try finding a pirate stream of the Negranu Helmuth match and host that. I don't know what the difference is between hosting and rating. I'll have to go look that up. Alright, 9-5 suited is not going to be something we would respond to a 3-bet or 2-bet with. Now we're under the gun with 9-8 offsuit, so definitely letting that go. Alright, now that I'm done rudely eating on stream, let's see what happens here. I think we even potentially, I think we 3-bet this. See what he does. And we hit 2-pair. So I guess we bet. Feel a little bit bad. Hopefully he doesn't have something ridiculous like a pair of aces or a pair of queens, but no, we just take it. Okay, thanks guy. He believed us there, I guess. I actually have some notes on him. It says, called 2-bet from blinds range with king 3 offsuit. Interesting. So he likes to limp, is what that sounds like. We've seen about 27 hands on him so far. I'll turn up the music a little bit here. All right, now, oh, okay. We clicked fold, I guess. So ace 4-2, so it's, you know, ace low. Probably favors the earlier position. So he seems to be aware of that and bets it. And the other guy, steaming from his previous loss to us, not massive loss, but great great for television loss. All right, so got another monster hand here that we're gonna play. Still tougher to play than against an ace. When there's an ace on the board, it's a little tough to play this. We will 3-bet it here and see what happens. I think we're just getting really good cards at this table, so I think we look a lot more aggressive than we normally are. But I'm curious if we're going to get any calls. No, we don't. Okay. So we're just making, small profit. I won't complain. It doesn't make for a good stream, but it does make us some money. And the goal right now, the main goal is to increase our bankroll. So we'll let these players contribute to it by re-raising them pre-flop and watching them fold. That is a-okay. So we would have had I guess a straight draw. Interesting. 2-9's not going to play. While we're waiting for this, I'm going to look up the difference between Twitch host versus raid. A Twitch raid gives creators the opportunity to redirect the remaining viewers to a channel of their choice after the end of the stream. Unlike a Twitch host, all viewers automatically ended up on the raid channel. For a host, creators can host other channels while their own stream is not active, and thus bring new viewers. Creators can host their channels on their own. Okay, in this case, the host chat remains among themselves and does not actively participate in the streaming of the hosted channel in comparison to Twitch raids. Queen 10 in the low jack. Yeah, we 3-bet that. Or, sorry, open it. Okay, so we will try to find a raid, or we will try to raid a channel with the Negranu-Helmuth match when it happens. It should start around 5 o'clock. Sometimes they're late. Sometimes the Poker Go infrastructure fell over for the last one. Now, we are facing a 3-bet from the cutoff. We are under the gun, out of position, so we let this go.
Hello.
We're actually pretty close there. He's also pretty tight so far, this guy. His 3-bet range is kings or above. He has a pre-flop raise. He's pre-flop raised 4 out of 22 hands, so 18%. That's all right. All right, so we will let that go. Four twos we're also going to let go. We won't even try to open that. I should Google how to raid. I think you do like a /raid in the chat. I think that's... I looked it up at one. Queen 2 offsuit from the button, so not playable. Start a raid, type /raid, followed by the name of the channel you want to raid. Alright, that's easy. So I'll look around. I'll have to like turn off my desktop audio or figure out how to mute the Twitch streams as we look through them, but it'll be pretty straightforward. I can use my Windows volume mixer to mute the Chrome window. All right, and so I think the poker deities that be that way. So I think just the RNG is not favoring us right now. Not our RNG, but the poker ignition's RNG is decided that we have won enough money for today and has decided to give us lots of bad cards now. So we will just wait. Now, of course, we would have had 2 pair here, but actually our pair of 2s would have been counterfeited by the pair of 3s on the board. There is 3 clubs, so possible straight, but we will never know what happens. Jack 4 is also not going to be good enough, so our bad streak continues. But let's watch, comment on what happens here. So player 2, who we see is a pretty tight player so far. We have 36 hands on him, so he's been here as long as we have. And he is much tighter aggressive than we have been. And so he actually 3-bets, and it looks like everybody's going to believe him. So he just takes the money pre-flop. And under the gun, we get a 3-2, so our streak continues. Let it go. That would have been great on that 3-2-3 flop earlier. Could you imagine that? How pissed would you be facing somebody and they have a house of 3s and 2s because they have 3-2 in their hand and 3-2-3 comes up on the board? That would be imagine those are the kind of hands you see at the recreational tables where there's lots of limpers. Not so much even on these online tables. 3-2 is not a hand you see very often. I mean, we could actually look it up on our Excel sheet to see exactly how many 3-2s we've seen, but I'm guessing it's not going to be very much. Should we do that while we're bored? Well, let's do it after this hand because we may actually play this hand here. So cutoff raises, and we are in the big blind, and so we will call with pocket 6s and hope for a set. Come on, 6. No. So because we don't get it, we'll just check, see what he does. He's going to have a fair amount of aces and jacks here. Do we just let it go? I think so. I don't think there's any fault in us folding after this. Oh, it just had to show us that 6, didn't it? Actually, you know what? I'll put that on the review, on our review queue, because maybe my question is, how much equity did we actually have there? And I'm going to even punch it up in Flopzilla right now. So we had 6 of clubs, 6 of hearts. Flop was... Now I should actually wait because this 10 king we might actually play. A king 10 offsuit would be opening. Okay, so versus and under the gun. We're not going to open it. We're going to fold it. Okay, so back to that previous hand. I'm going to punch in the board here. And I'm going to actually just punch in a sane range for our villain. And he was cut off, and he opened. So Flopzilla shows us as having 28% equity in that spot, and the villain gave us 19% pot odds. So we actually could have profitably called, but we had no idea that there's going to be another 6. That one's also, you know, one of those marginal hands where it's like, do you continue with marginal hand? You know, if you're chasing hands that you win only 1/3 of the time, probably going to be losing a fair amount of money. But according to that math, well, let's actually, so with all that math, Oh, okay. So 28% was actually filtering out trash hands from our opponent. Okay, let's roll the RNG here. If it's above 50, we're gonna open this. Nope. Okay. And maybe it's a good thing we didn't open it. Ooh, and a re-raise. We're getting a little action at the table now. Making for an exciting stream. Oh, no. He just folds. Alright, so that is our timer. Our sanity timer, telling us that we should probably stop playing now. Seems like a good place to stop. I'll click out sit next hand and we'll... Okay, we're gonna let this go. Let's watch what happens. This guy seems to be ticked. He's been like betting a lot. He re-raised this guy on the previous hand. The other guy's thinking, okay, is he just gonna do this to me every time? I actually kind of want to watch to see if he's gonna do it again. Oh no, this guy folds. Okay. Is this guy gonna open? This guy is in maniac mode. Nope. Okay. Gosh, guys, come on. You gotta entertain for the stream. Okay, well, so we'll call it. I do have some energy, so we'll go into hand reviewing mode, and then we will try to find a stream for the Daniel Negreanu and Phil Hellmuth match once it starts. It's supposed to start in about 15 minutes. So let's take a look here at our poker tracker. Gonna move OBS out of the way of the stream. And let's take a look at just hands we wanted to review. Okay. Usually I start at the biggest loss hands, but I actually kind of want to, let's go in reverse order today. Let's start with our lowest loss hands. We actually kind of talked about this a little bit. Well, let's go over it again in case you're watching for the first time. So we have pocket sixes. We are in the big blind. The villain in the cutoff opens to 3 big blinds, standard open, and we call. Now, that is all pretty standard here. We can see that like our ranges that we're studying here, cutoff opens, we're in the big blind. Green is call, blue is raise. We have pocket sixes, so we raise. Nothing too crazy there. The flop comes 3, jack, ace. And this is where my eyes kind of glaze over and I think, oh, he's got 2 overpairs, we're screwed, right? And if we look at the board here, and we pull up our data and we say, you know, this is our average distribution for hands opened by people in cutoff that we've played so far. And according to this, sorry, I will pull this up over here. So according to this, we have 28% equity, assuming that, well, okay, so right off the bat, just given all the possible cards he has, we have 31% equity. Now, in the hand, let's review here. So he opened, we called, so he c-bets at 1/3 pot. And so he is giving us pot odds of 19%. And so I think that's where I went wrong, is that I didn't actually look at the pot odds number. I didn't actually think about that one. I even have a heads-up display to show me the pot odds number, and for some reason I just didn't think to look. I think if I had looked, I would have realized that that number's pretty good. And so even if we do something like, let's assume that he has something middle pair or above, or he has a draw. Now I wish I could do something, okay, and let's say he's doing like 30% bluffs. Okay. So with a 30% bluff chance and middle pair or above, we and we filter, we are down to about 28.5% equity. So versus 19% pot odds, we should have called. It feels weird because at these low stakes, it seems pretty rare that someone's not going to 3-bet without a jack or an ace, but maybe he had king queen. In that case, he would have had the straight draw. Maybe he has, like, well, we can look at what he possibly has here. So he has lots of middle pairs, so lots of queens, lots of jacks. He could have a pocket pair, but I don't really think he has something like that. He definitely could have just ace X. So maybe that's something that he probably had, is like he could have an ace and a low number, and is just betting his top pair. If we just filter to like top pair or above, we're still at 33% equity, which isn't still definitely enough to call a 19% pot odd bet. So I think there I honestly just kind of underestimated the strength of our hand there. It's definitely our hand is I mean, we basically just have 2 outs. So pocket pair to a set, turn a river, based on our Excel sheet here. Whoa. Our Excel sheet, come on, Excel, gotta work with me here. Excel sheet says that the chances of making a pocket pair to a set is essentially on the turn or the river is about 8%, so 4% on each. But what this is saying is that we have to kind of factor that, plus we have to factor all of the cards that we're ahead of. So and we're essentially ahead of all of these draws. So like all the king queens, queen tens that are draws. All of the diamonds or clubs looking for a flush. So suited hands are looking for the 2-card flush draw. So we're ahead of all those basically, which is why we actually had a fair amount of equity there. And I guess I just didn't realize how much equity it was. So we fold. And the next card was a 6, so we would have made it, but we you know, and we shouldn't be facing decisions based on what we know the next card's going to be, right? Okay, so let's take a look at the next hand here. When we folded river, this one I think. Blow it up here so we can look at it. Okay. So this is a small blind versus big blind hand. So we raise, he calls. So let's punch this in here. So we have, so let me clear all this out. Now he was in the big blind and he called. And then we have, so the flop was Jack of Hearts, 6 of Diamonds, Ace of Diamonds. We have the clubs, Jack of Diamonds. Let's pull this up here. I'm gonna turn this filtering off. All right, so this is the big blind calling a raise from the small blind range. Or actually, I should just say this is the range of big blinds calling 2 bets. So very, very wide, as you can see. And this particular range is off data that I've actually collected from hands at these tables, so it's not anything too crazy. We do see that we have about 68% equity, which is actually a lot. So, okay, so we had the middle pair. We had pair jacks. I think that makes some sense. Now, we bet and he calls. So I think based on that, we should probably start filtering out. We should probably assume that he has at least like something like a pocket pair. He has some bluffs, like 30% bluff range, and then he has pretty much most of these draws. So if we filter those out, our equity is down to about 60%. And the 4 of hearts comes up. So, oops. So our equity goes down from 60% to 56%. Not a lot. We check, he checks, and then the 7 of diamonds comes up. And our equity moves from lower down to 49%. And I suspect that's because it brings in some flush draws. So all of these cards that he was hanging on to could be flushes. It also brings in some straights. No. Yes. 8-5, 5-3 are the straights that it brings in. That seems pretty unlikely to me. But we bet and he re-raises. So, given a re-raise, let's say he has top pair and above. Okay, so top pair and above, we know we're losing because we only have middle pair on an ace-high board. So I think what surprised me here is that he... No, actually, let's include the nothings. So let's include... Actually, well... Okay, so if he's like bluffing 50% of the time. Let's say he's bluffing 20. That gives us 37% equity if he does actually have some bluffs in his hand. And he is giving us 25% pot odds. So according to that, we should have called. But if we, at these lower stakes, it's very, very rare that I see a re-raise bluff. And so if we turn that off, then obviously we're losing. So the question is he capable of bluffing? And we don't really know, but we can find out tomorrow by marking this in our poker tracker hand as what did he have? And occasionally I'll go through. The nice thing about Ignition is that it'll tell you your opponent's hole cards regardless of their action, but only 24 hours after. So tomorrow I'll be able to tell you what we had. And speaking of which, let's see if we actually have any what did he have hands from earlier that we can go look up. Let me pull in. I'm gonna do this off screen here. I'm gonna download the hand history from earlier and import it into Poker Tracker. And just give me 1 minute. We're gonna stop getting hands here. We're gonna click Get Hands from Disk and import hands. Like most of them were already imported. Oh, okay. So what we have to do is we have to do something tricky here. I have 2 databases, and one database is only hands that are downloaded, and we have to do that because it will not overwrite hands in the database. And so when it captures the hand from when we were playing, that hand we do not know what the opponent had. And when we import the same hand, it refuses to overwrite the old hand, which I think is silly, and there should be an option to click to enable that, but that's just me. Okay. So what we do is we go into our normal database, our analysis database, And I'm gonna see what I'm gonna look for hands with that tag. And we need to, I guess, make tagged as, what did he have? And we should really save this. What did he have? Okay, so we're gonna apply the filter and look for the most recent ones that we actually will have downloaded. And in this case, we have one hand. What we'll do is we'll copy this hand number. We can't. I think we got to. Okay. All right, so we have the hand number. In Notepad, we're going to switch databases. So we lose all of our tags in our other database, which is annoying. But we have a report here, I believe. My reports. And we have a report, specific hand grabber. And we can just punch in hand number here. And grab it. Of course it doesn't work. Of course. Possibly because I guess it hasn't downloaded yet. That looks right to me. Yeah. Okay, so I guess let's try looking at another hand here. I had that tag. Yeah, I mean, so it works. It's just that we haven't been able to download it because it probably hasn't been 24 hours. Yeah, so it's 4:38 p.m. It's 5 p.m., but probably it has to do with like when you leave the table. So yeah, in fact, I'm looking at my hand history right now, and that table session is not yet available to download. So we don't have that, but we can try to find other hands. So let's search for that and go back to another one. So instead of yesterday, we'll go 2 days ago. And we have this one. And so let's just copy this hand ID. And punch it into our filter here on the other database. And okay. That's silly. I don't know what's going on. I apologize. I'm surprised it's not working. If we do this, the hand comes up here. If we set it to this database and then import our hands, does it work? Duplicates 147, so not sure what's going on there. Kinda weird. All right, well, my apologies. Let's so now that it's 5 o'clock, let's see if we can find a stream with our Daniel Negreanu match. So let me let's let's I'm gonna search around here. Give me a minute. I'm gonna turn off the volume from Chrome so that you guys are not hearing all the random Twitch streams as I go and look around. Apparently this is the thing. People like pirate pay-per-view streams on Twitch. Had no idea. Let's see here. Oh, we gotta wait for it through ads. That's pretty annoying. I'm going to just browse actually. And we're gonna filter, sort low to high viewers. And we'll see who's pirating this thing. I don't see anybody pirating it yet. So maybe this wasn't a winning strategy, guys. Maybe we're just gonna have to sign off without actually being able to watch this thing. I'm looking right now. Not seeing it. Okay, well, sorry everybody. I guess we'll have to wait. Yeah, I'm still looking. Let me make sure my filters aren't on. Actually, I wonder if we can just search dual live. No. Darn. If we search Poker Go. Not seeing it, guys. I think we gotta give up. I don't like it, but don't think we have much other choice. I'm just not seeing it anywhere. I was really hoping to be able to watch this thing too. Maybe I'll have to find it offline, I guess, and see if it's streaming somewhere else. Some other shady site. Okay. Yeah, I'm not seeing it anywhere. Okie dokie. Well, thank you everybody for watching the stream. Really appreciate it.